Donald Trump wasn't the only target of a weaponized FBI because, according to Senator Chuck Grassley, 92 Republicans and conservative groups were investigated under Biden through something called Arctic Frost. It was launched by an anti-Trump agent. We're learning today that one of those groups targeted was Charlie Kirk's TPUSA. This coming during an explosive Senate Judiciary hearing with FBI Director Kash Patel. Remember, sources are telling Fox that the knives are out within the administration and outside the administration for Patel amid some criticism of his handling of Kirk's assassination.
Mr. Patel was so anxious to take credit for finding Mr. Kirk's assassin that he violated one of the basics of effective law enforcement. At critical stages of an investigation, shut up and let the professionals do their job.
Could I have been more careful in my verbiage and included an A subject instead of subject? Sure, in the heat of the moment, but I was doing the best I could.
You know, candor, I don't quite get that, because if we have our man, that would suggest to the public that everybody can rest and relax and not then continue to provide information to local law enforcement and to you. Well, so that was a mistake.
I don't see it as a mistake. I see it as something working with the public to identify that there was a subject.
But remember, those same people were fine with their FBI, the Biden FBI, the Obama FBI, given everything we've learned about them. Give me a break. Well, Spartacus himself was there also, going on an epic rant.
I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you.
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is
I follow you on your social media posts that tear this country apart.
To address your falsehoods.
Oh, you can try all you want
in this country.
To not take responsibility for what you have said. Sir, you're making a mockery of this committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over. The people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me my time's over.
You may be the charge of the FBI.
I'm not going anywhere.
But I am not afraid of you,
Mr. Chairman.
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
I'm not afraid of you. You're not the boss of me. This was ridiculous. I don't think Booker had a rational thought throughout that entire hearing, which brings us to the Schiff hitting the fan.
Did you ever terminate or discipline an FBI employee in whole or in part because they had been assigned or worked on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
FBI employees are only terminated if they fail to uphold their oaths of office and duty.
You're not answering my question.
We have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Political buffoon, utter coward. This was unreal. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy is here, who was at that hearing today. He's also the author of the upcoming book, How to Test Negative for Stupid. I love the title. Senator, I can't wait to read your book. Was the FBI Director Patel, was that fair? Is there any fairness left? I don't know. But what of that today?
Well, I was there. Unfortunately, more of the hearing did turn into a bit of a goat rodeo. Some people obviously need a shock collar. Here's what I saw based on Mr. Patel's and the FBI's conduct with respect to the assassination of Mr. Kirk. And Senator Welch and Senator Durbin and I must not have been seeing the same thing. I saw an FBI director, Kash Patel, and the FBI working with the Utah state and local law enforcement officials catch an assassin within 33 hours. They caught Mr. Kirk's assassin within 33 hours. I also watched Mr. Patel and the FBI working with state and local law enforcement officials in Minnesota catch the assassin who killed the state legislators and their spouses in Minnesota. That's what I saw, and that's why I told Cash today I congratulated him. You can nitpick and say, well, what you said wasn't accurate, and why'd you do it? Cash himself said, yeah, I said a couple of things early on when I was before we had every fact, but he said I was leaning toward transparency. Had he not said enough, they would have said you're not being transparent. So, look, Laura, this is all. So much of this is political. President Trump is the president of the United States. Kash Patel is the director of FBI. Some people are not happy with that, but it's just a fact, and they need to drink a big old tall glass of get over it and move on. Those are just the facts.
Well, Senator, the fact that their FBI was in the process of falsifying affidavits at the FISA court, they didn't seem to have any problem with that. But one verbal, slip up, if you're going to call it that, or he should have phrased it differently, that's crucify him for that. You're right. It's just total theater. Senator, I'm dying to get your reaction to something else, because we talked about those text messages between the suspect in Kirk's murder and his roommate/romantic partner. Now, here's how one reporter at ABC is describing them. Watch this.
It was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love.
Senator Kennedy.
Once again, some people need a shock collar. Touching? The guy just murdered another human being. He's talking about it to his love interest. It reminded me of something my dog would bring up. Touching? The guy murdered a human being. I try to be tolerant of other points of view. I really do, but that wasn't touching, and no fair-minded person can call it touching.
Yeah, Senator, they spent years dehumanizing Trump and dehumanizing his supporters and boosters like Charlie Kirk, but they humanize the assassin and his roommate, touching and intimate.
Yes, and some of this is the fault of the media. A lot of it is the fault of social media, or in my opinion. Let's face it. Social media has lowered the cost of being an a-hole. People do things on social media that they would never do to each other's face. And it's become just rage bait. I don't have a solution to it yet. We can talk about that another time, but that's a big part of the problem.
Senator, thank you very much. Congratulations on the new book, How to Test Negative for Stupid, which everyone in Congress obviously needs to read. Senator, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.